A better route chapters. 155 The whole world felt as though some kind of weight had been lifted off it when Kaguya had finally been slain once and for all. However, it had come at a high cost. Nearly 10,000 ninjas had lost their lives during the war, many of them with families back home. In honor of those who died, the battlefield was made into a massive graveyard which was open for all people to come and visit. Not every body was discovered, but even those they couldn't find were given some kind of marker. All of the hidden villages had remained peaceful with one another, none of them wanted a war in even the slightest sense after what they'd been through. They'd even all continued to wear the Shinobi Alliance headbands, although typically they did wear something to mark what village they hailed from. The Hidden Rock went through some rather major changes, one of which being the Inoki finally stepped down. Kuratsuchi had wanted to take the job, but she knew she wasn't ready. Tsuchikage was a rank that was given to another person, forcing Kuratsuchi to wait for her chance. She didn't mind though. That gave her plenty of time to spend with her new fiancé. Choji and Kuratsuchi were soon to be wed, with Choji becoming the new ambassador for the Rock and Leaf, allowing him to spend plenty of time in both places. Although Koku decided to stay in the Hidden Rock, as he liked the terrain, Son Goku wanted to go somewhere more tropical, which he did. He found a nice little jungle where he decided to live out his days. The Hidden Cloud hadn't changed all that much, except for the lack of chasing after tailed beasts anyways. Gyuki was still living on Turtle Island with B. Yes, even though he hated his rapping, he still considered B something like a brother to him. Matatabi decided not to live exclusively in the cloud, although she visited often to see Yujito. A simply remained the Raikage, spending much more time with his brother now that he had more free time. It was something the both of them loved, even if they annoyed one another to the extreme. The Hidden Mist had become a much happier place. Haku and Chojuro both had girlfriends that they were going steady with. Kisame and Teneki still couldn't keep their hands off one another, leading to a very quick pregnancy. Her father, Sayoya, couldn't have been happier. Of course Zabuza and Mei were getting married, a big deal for a Kage. Isabu decided to live in the Sea of the Hidden Mist, as he found it was the perfect temperature. Saiken ended up moving to the Slug Realm, as he liked being around his own kind. The Hidden Sand was blossoming with relationships as well. Gaara and Sakura married a mere 2 days after the war. Sakura moved to the sand without question for the man she loved. Temari had chosen to live in the Hidden Leaf with Shikamaru. Her brothers missed her dearly, but respected her decision nonetheless. Tenten moved in with Kankuro and actually found out she'd been pregnant during the war. Not surprising, considering what they'd done the night before the big battle. With Tenten's help with new weapons, the battle puppets were stronger than ever. Shikaku decided to stay in the Hidden Sand, considering the desert was the only place he felt like home. In order to keep his homicidal side in check, any prisoner in the shinobi world, they might have had peace, but there was no stopping murders and rapists, that was sentenced to death was sent to him to take care of. It wasn't as good as he wanted, but Shikaku could live with it. The Hidden Leaf had changed the most by far. Of course the very first day had been dedicated to all of those in the Hidden Leaf who'd been lost. All of the Hyugas mourned Niji's death, almost the entire village mourned the loss of Tsunade, and one small group in particular mourned the loss of one Uchiha. Obito didn't cry the first time his mother died, but he definitely cried the second time. Once that was done, everything slowly got into a kind of rhythm. Guy and Lee continued training and trying to surpass one another. Lee was even dating a civilian girl, who found his eccentricities adorable. Sai and Kabuto had remained good friends, but kept themselves busy with their hobbies as well. Fu and Shino were still incredibly close and were spending their days breeding bugs together. They were trying to breed a few others things although that was a very different but much more fun process. Chomei decided to shrink herself down slightly and live in a very big hive she'd built. The Hidden Leaf was peaceful enough for her. Asuma was overwhelmed with joy when his wife gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Kiyum. She'd even gotten the mesmerizing ruby eyes of her mother. Another little Sarutobi for the family. Anko was jumping Irika's bones every single chance she got. She couldn't have kids the normal way, thanks to Orochimaru's experiments. However, both of them were more than happy to adopt. They were already talking about it. Sasuke and Karen were doing good as well, although they weren't moving quite as fast as their friends were. The couple had barely been able to say I love you to one another, so they still had quite a ways to go. Sasuke had also been made second in command of the Umbu, which took up a little more of his time while Karen did some work in the hospital. Itachi and Hana had their child as well, and it was a girl just as Hana wanted. Kimichi had gotten Itachi's hair and eyes, but her mother's pretty face. She was the first new addition to the next Uchiha clan and she was adorable. Tsum just loved playing with her. She'd been born only a week after Itachi and Hana got married. Mito and Kiba were spending every second they could together, but they were awfully busy between Kiba being made the new clan head and Mito helping to run the hospital. Still though, they got together as often as they could and had plenty of fun when they did. Between their alone time and planning their future together, they had plenty to do. Kiba had actually just picked out a ring to propose to her with. Kakashi and Konan had moved into the Uchiha compounded, just like they'd planned, and loved finally having some privacy. Rin had been very sad to see her son go, but knew he had to do it. She had also taken a liking to Konan, even if their start had been rocking. Even though Kakashi had been made the head of Umbu, he still made time for Konan. Speaking of her, she'd found that she quite enjoyed making art out of her paper, mainly origami. When they weren't doing that, they were planning the wedding since Kakashi had asked her to marry him the moment they got back. Naruto and Hinata were doing the best of all the couples, their wedding being downright perfect except for Neji not being there. Naruto told Hinata to spend as much as she wanted because he just loved her too much to say no. Once it was done, Hinata had been made clan head and had gotten the cage bird seal outlawed, with the help of her husband the 6th Hokage. Yes, Naruto had gotten one of his dreams fulfilled and everyone in the Leaf was happy for him. Hinata was actually just waiting for the right moment to tell him she was pregnant. She was hoping for a spiky blue-haired boy that they could name Neji. Kurama had chosen to stay with Naruto, as he still cared for the guy. He even shrunk himself down and was living in Naruto's house. Although that was mostly because he liked human beds and found them much more comfortable. The fox had found a lifelong friend for the first time, which he wasn't giving up. Rin and Obito were just watching all of this happen with great joy. The way they saw it, things couldn't have been more perfect. They were both standing on top of the Hokage monument, looking down at the village. Obito was smiling, things really are going great, aren't they? Rin nodded, yeah, they really are. Obito asked, would you change anything if you could? Rin kissed his cheek, I think we got the better route. Obito smiled, you know what? I think you're right. With this, the fanfiction journey reaches its conclusion. I sincerely hope you all enjoyed this creative endeavor, which spanned 155 chapters and required a substantial investment of time. Despite the initial challenges in the voiceover process, I persevered, and I am truly grateful for your continued support throughout this fanfiction. Your patience and encouragement have meant a lot to me. If you find yourself already missing this fanfiction, consider revisiting it for a nostalgic trip and, hey, maybe give me some extra watch time *wink**wink. Nevertheless, I hope you find satisfaction in the culmination of this story. In addition to this fanfiction, I have more content on the channel, including other fanfictions and videos. I invite you to explore them and hope you derive as much enjoyment from them as you did from this one. With the completion of yet another fanfiction, adapted by yours truly, I look forward to your continued support. Thank you for being a part of this creative journey.